Recently, I've been thinking about how big. This hasn't even just been recently, it's been within the past 6 months. I've been thinking about how big space is, how small we are, how small our material mass and energy composition is compared to the grander galaxy and universe, especially the multiverse, but that's a different topic. We are so small, and I've been listening to the series of books that is the Expanse series, sci-fi fiction. There is also a TV show, though they don't quite go into the same amount of detail. And there's constant mention of how small human beings are compared to everything else that is out there. I think that we might have it a little bit wrong. So let me explain. The only way that we can conceive even a tiny bit of what is out there and how small we are and how big everything is because we have so many neurons and synapses. We have as many, I believe, neurons in our head as there are stars in the universe. At the very least, the galaxy. Getting my numbers a little bit mixed up, but at the very least, the galaxy. And the dendrites and the axons, the connections between those brain cells firing is what gives us a reflection of how big the universe could be. Our ability to conceive of the universe or the galaxy, all the planets, all the stars, that there's thousands and thousands of Earths that can fit in Jupiter and even more that can fit in the sun just in our solar system. And the fact that there's billions of stars just in this galaxy. Now, while we might not be able to picture it physically or visualize it physically, we might not have that good of a visualization. The idea that we can even kind of conceive of how small we are shows how miraculous our brain is. I think that when we can conceive of something so much bigger, it's almost like we're holding reflection up to our own understanding. And our understanding is more miraculous than anything else in the solar system. Life itself is, but our understanding, it makes everything's size much smaller when we think about the wondrous capabilities of the human brain. And we're going to understand more and more through science, paired with spirituality and ancient science, hopefully. But we're going to understand more and more. We're going to start to understand just how powerful our brain is, its abilities, what we're going to be able to do, what we can do if we focus our mind, if we train our mind, if we stop being influenced by our animal nature. If we stop, for instance, I can have all these high ideas, all these wonderful ideas, but then, I get a little antsy if I don't have a cigarette for a day. Human beings are a wonderful paradox. We can be so great and so confined by our bodies or our chemistry. We can think wonderful things. We can work out wonderful things. We can feel so much love or even hate or anger. We can experience so much intensity. But then we're always humbled by our body chemistry, by our confines of our body, by the food we have to eat, things like that. And I think that the universe humbles us in that way for a reason, just as much as there's a reason for anything else. Is that, just like Icarus, we might be able to fly with those wax wings that we have, these bodies. But if we get too close to the sun, they will melt. Hubris has always been pride, has always been the danger for us. Not necessarily our inabilities or what holds us back, but pride. It's always been the danger for us. Because pride makes you jump forward before you have the strength to do so. But more importantly and more devastatingly, to think that you have the right to reach that cliff rather than judging by your ability or if you've worked enough to get there. as human beings, we feel very privileged. We kind of rule this planet. Um, we've eaten a lot of other Neanderthals and other similar species, and mated with Neanderthals as well, eaten and mated, interestingly enough. And we've risen to this position, and it's refreshing to see when we're like, wow, we're starting to a lot more people are starting to realize, wow, this is how small we are. There's so many things going on that just seem so much vaster than us. Never get rid of that humbling idea or feeling within you. But also, human beings are pretty miraculous. But that doesn't need to be pride. That can be a recognition of how the potential of our minds and our brains. But we should never think we as individuals are more deserving or have more value than someone else. That's where the pride creeps in, and that's where the hubris creeps in. Because Icarus didn't make or his father didn't make a bunch of wax wings for everybody to escape the maze. Only made some for Icarus. Stretching the story just a bit. And, maybe it would have been worse. But at least the idea of making many wax wings for different people trying to get out of the maze, that would have been admirable. But he just made it for his son. Continuation of himself, pride, hubris. And his son took them up and thought he could, and he kept on flying closer and closer to the sun instead of staying a little bit lower and just getting out of the maze. And that's when he realized that his wings weren't sufficient. And that's when the gravity of his decision quite literally affected him. So, though this has been a bit of a rant, I will say that everything seems so big, but the fact that we can at least understand, or at least have some small conception of how big everything is, shows how amazing our brains are. At the same time, we shouldn't think too highly of ourselves. We have to have a Goldilocks zone of perspective. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. Everything in moderation, including our conception of ourselves, the universe, and always keep a watchful eye on hubris. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. This has been a bit of a rant. A lot of you are probably used to this. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, shoot them down in the comment section below on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching, and all of you, have a wonderful day.